There reaches a moment when you're simply exhausted, not from laziness, not from quitting, but because you've pushed so hard for so long, yet nothing budges. You keep showing up, doing all the right things, working harder, thinking deeper, adjusting more, but it all feels frozen. And quietly, deep inside, a voice whispers, maybe I shouldn't be trying this much. That's where trust starts. The world tells us effort is king, that if something's not clicking, the solution is to grind harder, hustle longer, rise earlier, fix yourself. But rarely does anyone share the other truth. Sometimes, it's less about doing more and more about trusting more. When you begin to trust yourself, life, the quiet moments, something odd unfolds. Things shift. People you once pursued start contacting you. Answers you try to force suddenly appear. You feel lighter, no longer hauling your life along. Because the reality is, you don't always get what you chase. You get what aligns with you. And trust creates that alignment. Trust isn't just wishing for things to work out. It's knowing you don't need to micromanage every detail to feel secure. It's breathing easier, loosening your hold, and recalling you're not meant to bear the universe's weight. You're here to live. And life flows smoother when you stop striving for perfection. Trusting feels risky when all you've known is pressure. Letting go seems like weakness when effort has defined your life. But here's the unspoken truth. Trust isn't passivity. It's power. When you stop draining energy on what's beyond your control, you gain energy for what you can shape. Most people miss this. Trying too hard often signals you don't trust yourself. You doubt your instincts, your timing, your worth. You think what's meant for you won't find you unless you constantly prove yourself. So you overwork, overthink, justify yourself when no one's asking. Keep going even when you're drained. Fear murmurs, if I pause, it'll all collapse. But it won't. Sometimes, when you finally stop pushing, things click. You're no longer acting from fear, desperation, or need to beg life for what you want. You're calm, present, aligned. And alignment doesn't plead, it attracts. Trust means giving things space to breathe. It means embracing the quiet without rushing to fill it. It means not freaking out when progress pauses. Because the most vital things, love, peace, growth, don't come through force. They thrive in stillness. They arrive when you stop chasing and start listening. Another thing people overlook. The more you try to control, the more you prove you're not in control. That's why it feels heavy, why it doesn't last. The energy behind it is fear, and fear makes you cling to things not meant for you. But trust allows. It doesn't hurry or panic. It listens, releases a tight grip, the deadlines, the mental loops, and says, if it's for me, it's already coming. That's not naive hope. It's wisdom. After forcing doors that led nowhere, chasing people who didn't see your value, you realize trust isn't weakness. It's a deliberate, quiet choice to stop pouring energy into fear and start channeling it into peace. That peace doesn't just feel nice. It opens doors you didn't know existed. You stop trying to control life and become someone life meets halfway. Trust feels foreign if you've only known survival. If you grew up believing love must be earned, that success demands pressure and burnout, that life favors those who suffer most, trust will seem strange. Letting go feels reckless. But here's the truth. You weren't born to suffer into alignment. You weren't meant to live with a tight chest, calling it discipline. There's a way to grow, heal, or build without losing yourself. Trust returns your energy, your breath, your clarity. Instead of racing 10 steps ahead, you arrive in the moment, in your body, in your calm. You stop chasing people, and they're drawn to your steadiness. You stop rushing, not from defeat, but from understanding the difference between force and ease. Trust doesn't mean waiting passively for life. It means you stop sabotaging yourself when nothing's moving yet. You stop fixing things just because you're uneasy. You realize discomfort isn't danger. Silence isn't failure. Slow isn't wrong. The more you trust, the more you see life's rhythm. It's not punishing you, it's readying you. Sometimes you're stuck because you're clinging to a life you weren't meant to carry. Let it go and the path clears. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped blocking it. That's a shift from control to trust, from exhaustion to balance, from proving your value to knowing it. Something powerful happens when you stop needing instant results, stop rushing love, healing, or purpose. You become still enough to see what's already working. You stop wasting time, energy checking progress every moment, measuring, comparing, wondering if you're lagging. But lagging behind what? Some timeline that was never yours? Some clock that steals your peace but doesn't serve your growth? When you truly trust, you stop seeing every delay as a mark of failure. You begin viewing delays as guidance, endings as new paths. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start wondering, what is this clearing space for? That's the shift in mindset. That's when trying fades and becoming takes over. Because here's something most don't grasp until it's too late. You can achieve the goal but lose yourself along the way. You can force the job, the relationship, the success. But if you arrive anxious, disconnected, spiritually empty, or burnt out, what was it all for? That's why trust matters, not just for the result, but for preserving your wholeness. Trust creates a life that lasts. Force builds one that eventually collapses. When you act from trust, you stop sacrificing your values just to get ahead. You stop ignoring your intuition to blend in. You stop chasing people out of fear of loneliness. You begin respecting your own rhythm, listening when your body calls for rest, walking away from what feels lifeless. And then you start drawing a different reality, one rooted in truth, not pressure, in soul, not performance, in peace, not haste. When this shift occurs, others notice. Not because you announce your healing or try to stand out, but because you stop battling life. Now, life flows through you, not past you. People often misunderstand trust, thinking it means doing nothing, just sitting and hoping for change. But that's not trust. That's passivity, waiting. True trust is active, a quiet confidence, not idle hope. It's showing up daily, not out of fear, but because you sense something aligning, even if it's invisible. When you trust, your actions stem from calm, not panic. You stop filling every silence with noise or motion. Stop forcing things into place just to ease discomfort. You let the unease linger without rushing to escape. And that's powerful. Discomfort is where truth emerges. Consider this. How many poor choices come from fearing you've waited too long? How many wrong relationships did you cling to, doubting something better would come? How often did you say yes when your body screamed no? Just because you didn't trust your no will be honored, trust rewires that. It teaches you to pause before reacting, to step back when you're tempted to prove yourself. It reminds you your worth isn't in how fast you go, but in how fully you align. You stop rushing to fix your image in conversations, jumping into commitments to feel less alone, or try to earn what should be freely given. Instead, you wait for what's right, not just what's quick or convenient, but what truly fills your soul, anchors your peace, and doesn't demand you shrink or perform. That's the life trust builds. Every no becomes protection. Every delay becomes preparation. Every silence becomes sacred space for something real to grow. You stop judging progress by timelines, numbers, or social approval. You measure by peace, by how little you chase, how deeply you breathe, how soft you become without losing strength. Trust doesn't make life simpler. It makes it clearer. And clarity takes you further than control ever could. Here's what might surprise you. When you truly trust, you care less about the outcome and more about aligning with it. You stop asking, will I get it? And start asking, does this fit the person I'm becoming? That changes everything. When you're not forcing results to feel safe, you gain space to listen to yourself, to question your desires, to wonder if what you're chasing even suits your life, or if it's just an old survival habit you never examined. Trust creates room for discernment. Without it, you keep rushing toward things that don't serve you, all because you fear slowing down. But with trust, you can slow down. In that slowness, you see clearly. You feel what's true, not just what's urgent. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from wisdom. In that space, you stop settling, not because you're proving your worth, but because you believe in it. You stop over-explaining to those who don't listen, chasing draining opportunities, or performing for love or validation. Your actions stop seeking something. They express what you already know you hold. That's why trust is magnetic. It's not loud or showy. not about proving or announcing. It's quiet, steady, grounded. And from that place, life meets you differently. You get better offers, not just in work, but in how people treat you. Conversations deepen, not because you force them, but because your presence feels safe. You attract situations that nourish, not overwhelm, your nervous system. When you stop racing to outrun fear and start walking with trust, the world shifts, not instantly, not without challenges, but with more ease, clarity, and flow than you've ever felt when forcing things into place. You realize you don't need to chase the life you want, you need to match it. That matching happens in your energy, your mindset, your patience, not an overdoing burnout or endless effort. Trust doesn't mean waiting endlessly. It means not rushing into what isn't real. If you still believe trying harder will bring peace, let it go. Effort has its place, but trust carries you when effort wears you down. It steadies you when nothing makes sense, reminds you that what's meant for you won't need to be forced. No matter how much the world praises hustle, speed, or urgency, the most meaningful things arrive quietly. They don't need you to chase them. They need you to make space.